now is the time that everybody was waiting. Justin Lawman's time. It's Justin
Man of
o'clock.
law.
7:35 a.m., 7:38 right now here in New South Wales. And Justin is going to be sharing with us about the events that happen in the world that we should not miss out. My friend Justin,
mate.
tell us a little bit about Mr. Trump. Did you see the chair that he was sitting next to President Xi? Everybody was saying that there's something wrong with that chair. Have you seen it? Can you tell our listeners what happened there?
What about the chair?
Yeah.
Or just about Trump in general?
Look, Trump in general, but the chair I think was fascinating. Let me just so, for people that haven't seen the scene, they're you know how when two leaders they come to talk, they each have like a chair sitting next to each other. Trump's chair had a different cushion than President Xi's chair, so President Xi looked way taller than Trump, and everybody's saying that this is Chinese power play into place. Now, they're every opportunity that they can make to say, oh, China is greater than the U.S., they'll take it, even if it means to give President Trump a lower cushion or a softer cushion.
They did so many slapdowns or attempted slapdowns on even the way they shake hands. Who gets the dominant over the top of the other guy, and then Trump has to pat him on the back of the hand, and he, China says it's great you've got 250-year celebration. Our country's 5,000 years old.
Yes,
they just got to.
They take
power.
every opportunity, don't they?
I've got I've woken up with COVID or something.
Well, I'm glad it's not hantavirus because that would be a worry.
Well, not yet. Anyway, there's a bit going on in the world, fellas. There's a bit going on in the world.
So what was the purpose of that Chinese trip? And did Trump assert that the U.S. is not going to let China invade Taiwan? We're not going to have a new theater of war. What was his communication in that space?
Look, there's so many things going on here. This is my take. Trump is like the owner of a casino. He wants everyone to make money and to all get on, and we don't have any fights. And he goes everywhere he goes, he thinks he can make deals. And he's gone there to make a deal, and he has really upset his base. They got 5,000 students or whatever they were wanting a year, 500,000. I can't even remember what it is now, but he did all these deals. Taiwan, of course, has a deal themselves of $14 billion worth of weapons. And it's now up in the air whether they're going to do that. And if America doesn't do that weapons deal, China will invade, and America has said, you go at it, we're not going to get involved, which is it really should make Australia a little nervous if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Because we can think today's Taiwan, tomorrow can be us.
Mate, there's all sorts of things going on, and clearly America is for America at the moment, and they've got their Western Hemisphere is the bit they're going to have, and then there's the island chains out of China, how far they're willing to go, to how much they'll have to sacrifice, because a war with China is not like with Iran or Iraq or someone. This is more a peer-to-peer conflict, and they've got some incredible technology and ability to manufacture. So the big question now, and this is from particularly Trump's base, is will they defend Taiwan? Will a China, because it won't end with Taiwan. That's the problem with a bully. They just keep going. That's the first bit. So let's hope none of this ends up in war, but that is the big controversial thing that's really come out of there. He took his top executives from private companies, NVIDIA, Elon Musk, all these big corporate titans. He took them with him. It was a very unusual trip. And he's also done a deal to give these super chips that NVIDIA make that are used in weapons. he's going to do a deal with China that they can get them. And that, again, has really upset a lot of people on his side of the fence.
Yes, I would imagine that. And look, in terms of in the interview that I saw from Trump, he said that she asked him about Taiwan. And it was very interesting because the Chinese embassy in the United States, they published a tweet or in on X, like a post, where it's saying, here are the 4 red lines that the United States president should not talk about with in his visit to China. And they said, like, not talk about Taiwan. Number 2, not talk about democracy or human rights. Not talk about, and there's like 4 big topics. There's, look, this is forbidden items. These are conditions for Trump's visit to China. And of course, I think that Trump abode by all of them. But then China asked Trump, and Trump said that in the airplane, did she ask you about Taiwan? And President Trump said, yes, he asked me, and I said that I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to respond. So he kind of left it up in the air if he was going to protect them or not. He didn't say no. But he didn't say yes either. So I think that he's playing to kind of cause a doubt in Xi's mind. Because if he said yes, then, well, they would make no deals. But if he said no, then that would basically be giving China the green light to go and do whatever they want. So I think he tried to stay on the fence for that one.
100% he did. But I think the people of Taiwan are a little more nervous after this trip than they were before. Time will tell. The last superpower on earth is America. It's not China. So something's going to go down here that America is going to have world dominance even over China.
That is very interesting. We will be very interesting to see how that's going to play out as well. What about in Iran? So, I have seen the prices in the fuel pumps, really calming down a lot recently, even though nothing
Feels
really
good.
changed other than, just a bit of, it does feel good. Yet we are still not close to find a proposal of peace, are we?
Well, overnight, the Iranians have launched a drone attack on UAE, United Arab Emirates, or whatever they're called, and they've struck their nuclear power station. Now, everyone in the world, every country on earth knows how dangerous it is to go playing around with a nuclear power plant. They're not on the table that you should go near, because the ramifications of having an event with a nuclear power thing it lasts for thousands of years. The fallout, terrible things that go on. So that has just happened, and we're yet to see how the world's going to respond to that. The reports are that it's a fire, but there hasn't been any nuclear spill or any radiation leak as of yet. But let's keep watching that, because it seems to me that Iran is not planning on coming to any peace deals, and at least until the midterm elections in November. That's where I think they're just playing this to make it difficult for Trump and his side of politics, and they're just going to drag this out. And Trump is huffing and puffing, wanting his way, but they're not necessarily going to play ball.
So do you think that this could have been like a military accident, or do you think that they have a very clear message behind that attack that was just close enough but not quite doing the damage that everybody's fearing?
Look, they shot down a lot of drones. This is one that got through their defenses. So I don't think it's an accident at all. I think they probably wanted it to be worse, because that's 25% of their power from that one plant.
Wow.
If you don't have electricity in the Middle East, you don't have water, because they have to, the desal plants is how they have enough water for their population. So they're playing with fire when they're doing this sort of stuff.
Wow, that is, and there was a vote recently in the U.S. Congress, wasn't it? While Trump was away in China, voting to stop the war. Did you see that one as well?
Yeah, it's a political issue in the U.S. The Democrats are really opposed to it. they're saying all sorts of extraordinary things, and then Trump sides on the other side of that. I think Trump feels a bit hemmed in. If he wanted to blow up their power plants and things, the Democrats said, well, we'll charge you with war crimes if you do that when you're out of office. So he's a bit trapped politically and domestically. So it's not easy to get. He's got himself in a bit of a pickle with this one.
Yes, absolutely. And what about with Ukraine and Russia? I believe that we've seen Russia celebrating one of their most important military parades, Victory Day in Russia. And there were some conversations that he's now calling President Zelensky Mr. Zelensky, and people were like looking at the difference of tone, and he's asking, "Can you please not attack me during my victory parade?" What is happening over there?
Well, overnight, it's been the largest drone attack of the entire war, and that's a pretty big one that has hit Moscow and Russia. They obliterated Kiev again on the weekend, and Ukraine has now launched hundreds and hundreds of drones. There's lots of footage coming up on the internet from Moscow and other places. One of them is at least 10 of these drones were jet-powered drones.
Oh, wow.
So they're like a missile. So they just upgraded the drone's motor to a jet motor. It has devastated Moscow. They've blown up a number of oil refineries, the pillows of smoke that are going out. One ring road around Moscow's collapsed from the heat of the fire that was caused. This war is not getting less, it's getting more. And because of the drone technology that Ukraine now possesses, they're able to reach a long way into Russia.
Wow.
And we hear as well that Cuba has purchased 3,000 drones or something to make attack on the Guantanamo Bay, the U.S. base there in Cuba, and Florida is only 90 miles from Cuba. So there's all sorts of things that have amped up today. And that seems to be connected to Russia and Russian technology, that if they view this as a bit of a proxy with America involved in the background, I think. Certainly the European nations are very involved.
We're almost seeing a new Cuban missile crisis here, but now it's the drone crisis, if they're parking some drones right at the footsteps of the United States.
You know that military parade that they had on May Day or whatever they call it over there in Russia? They wouldn't use tanks and all the things they normally bring out, all their big intercontinental missiles. They didn't use all those in the parade this year because they were fearful of drone attacks. Drones have transformed war in so many ways. It's been unbelievable.
Wow, it is absolutely. What a crazy days that we're living in, particularly now with these drone technologies. And
do you have a drone, Joseph? Do you?
I don't have a drone. No, I haven't gotten myself into that technology. Have you, Elliot?
No,
are you a bit of a drone pilot?
I don't.
Oh, hi, Elliot. I've been ignoring you, mate. How are you, Elliot?
I'm good. I actually don't.
I'm not a drone guy either, but I've got mates with drones, and they're not expensive, and the stuff they can do with them, it's incredible. This technology now is in the hands of so many people.
Yeah.
And they've weaponized it in ways, that have really changed warfare. And Ukraine and Russia, it's sort of out of the headlines a lot, but it's really raging as strong as it ever has.
Absolutely. No, I remember seeing a meme somewhere, saying that, a mother saying to this, young man, young child playing video games, why are you playing video games? You're never going to use that skill for anything else in your life. And then you have another meme saying they're flying drones in war. It's become almost like, it's absolutely devastating.
It's not good, man. It's the technology and the AI coming embedded into this technology now. You can see the video footage that they're flying them. Like, you remember in the World War II, the bombers would come in a formation as they'd fly in to bomb. They're flying drones in formation now, which is clearly AI technology that's directing these drones.
Wow, that is very scary. Justin, thank you so much. And what is the prayer of the week today? How are we going to pray for our current world situation and for ourselves and for the world?
I just listened to your segment on the guy that's preaching in front of the hospital in Ireland, Northern Ireland. Freedom to preach, freedom to teach is a precious, precious thing. And incredibly across the West, it has come under great duress and pressure. If we lose our freedom to speak, every other freedom will follow. We'll lose them all. And I think it's so important to be vigilant about our freedom to wage an argument, not a war, to have a discussion and to be able to speak about the gospel. So I think we should be praying for freedom and our freedom to preach the gospel while we can.
Amen. We'll be praying for that and to make the most out of these freedoms while we have them.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.